Spoilers for Danganronpa V3, Danganronpa 1, and Danganronpa 2. Alright, so this is my first real video for the channel that has any sort of direction for it. And to start things off, I want to talk about something that has a lot of meaning to me. So I went with Danganronpa, which is a series that really has an impact on me and how I write and how I view things like character development and all that sort of stuff. And one of the things that has constantly kind of come back into my mind over the years since I've played it is the character of Tsumugi Shirogane, the ultimate cosplayer from Danganronpa V3. And when I think about why that is, I think it's because she is just an interesting character to me that isn't talked about as much as, everyone else online. I think when she was first revealed, the most people cared about her was that her last name was Shirogane and she had blue hair. So everyone just thought she was related to Naoto from Persona 4. And I kind of got in on that joke too for a while. But then, the game came out and she was revealed to be the mastermind, and everything was supposedly fiction, and everyone kind of went insane more about the ending and less about her as a character. But I think now, time has passed since the initial reaction to V3's ending, and we've kind of come up with the idea that there are a number of possibilities to how V3's story played out. And for this video, I think I'm going to take into the idea of two major considerations: that either A, everything played out as intended, everyone was brainwashed into being another character, Danganronpa was all fiction, and with the ending of 53, the series was canceled due to low viewership. And also the idea that the prologue and Tsumugi's videos, the interview videos were staged, and Danganronpa isn't fictional, and there's more to this world than what Tsumugi told us, and that what she told us about it all being fictional, everyone openly auditioning, was just a lie. There's also the idea that, Tsumugi might have been, brainwashed to be the mastermind character for this, but I don't think that plays into what I'm going to be talking about for this video. So for now, that is going to be put aside. I might come back to that in a future video, who knows. One thing about Tsumugi's character, I think as a mastermind, she is this unique one because she is, if we're going off what she says, she is the one that's in the most control over everything. This is her game, her story, her characters. This is all her doing. And I don't know, that kind of fascinates me. Because if we go off the assumption that if we go off the idea that she is being herself the whole time, only just somewhat acting, and that what she says about herself is legit. She is just, before this, she was just a normal girl that got easily blended in the crowds and got looked over and ignored by everyone else. But now she has this chance to do the, she finally has a chance to be seen, and it's with this killing game. Even then, in it, she still tries to act like she's just a normal girl so that she doesn't, drag suspicion onto her. She probably went in knowing that this is a game where she could probably easily die, because I think everyone knows that her saying that she wrote this whole, every scenario out for V3 is kind of sounds like a bit too improbable, even for, this series where supposedly everything is fiction. Because that would just give us a Danganronpa beta / distrust level of having to plan out every single situation and possibility to the point where it becomes a burden. And all of chapter 5, that whole thing was probably meant to confuse that was probably also not going as planned, including, the failed execution and the, trapping a lot logic puzzle trap. I kind of have an assumption that this whole thing wasn't written in, rather just a bunch of different scenarios for who, if this person kills this person, they'll get this execution. If this person to kill it, they get this execution, and so on. Now, Tsumugi being in control of everything, and kind of Danganronpa V3's story as a whole, reminds me very much of the song Ruler of Everything by Tally Hall. I'd play this song, but copyright scares me. And I don't want to just, talk for a few minutes of me just singing out the lyrics. But very much the basic idea of it, of living this kind of lie of a life, and it being a deception, at least that's what the lyrics are saying, that kind of applies very perfectly to, the story of V3. Or at least what the base story wants us to believe. And with Tsumugi, I feel like there's this side of her that we haven't seen, that the game doesn't show us. And this is probably going to be getting into personal headcanon territory without actually saying personal headcanon. But I think the game wants us to see Tsumugi as a character that is probably more deeper than just what we see of her in her mastermind form. There's probably more than just what we see. Kind of like how the first two games treated Junko before Danganronpa 0 came out, where it was like, oh yeah, we see her character and we see her performing and putting on this show of it, but also we don't know how much of what she's saying is true or not. Does she care about her? Did she actually care about her sister at all? Did she not? Because she killed her out of the despair of losing the one of the few people in her life that cared about her. But we don't get to see her show any kind of actual compassion towards Makuro, if that makes any sense. And I think with Tsumugi, you kind of get that same vibe, whereas, when she shows up in her mastermind form, it's slightly different than a normal form. Her pupils are lighter blue, and I think what stuck out to me was the bags under her eyes. At least, I swear, that's what they are. They look so much like, purple bags. And I don't know. It's the fact that when she gets executed, she starts off in her Junko cosplay, emulating her pose from Danganronpa 1, kind of, with a smile. And then it cuts to her in her normal costume, and she looks so sad and downtrodden. And that was a surprise to me because, in all of Danganronpa, with all of the punishments and executions, that we've seen people look scared and afraid. And, we've seen, people like Junko who are happy. But I don't think I've ever seen an expression like sad and downtrodden. I think the most we've gotten is probably Mikan with hers, where that was more like just kind of this, there wasn't really much of an expression. She just looked like her normal self. It was just her normal expression, and she blasted off into space. But with Tsumugi, it's this look that says, I did not want it to go this way. I did not want this to happen. Nothing is in my control, and that's just, and it's all going wrong. And to me, that's kind of sad. It's giving me these peaks and these hints of a character that we're probably never going to see. Right now, we don't know what's next for Danganronpa. We don't know if there'll be any future games. Okay, there'll probably be some, but we don't know if they're gonna follow up on the story of V3, or if they're gonna do, do a whole new universe that doesn't interfere with the ending and give like a definitive, concrete, yes, this happened, or yes, this happened. Because I think, Spike knows that would not only make fans unhappy, that would probably mess with what Kodaka wants for the franchise. Who knows what's going to happen. But I feel like if they were to, their next moves was to put out like a light novel akin to Danganronpa 0 and focused on Tsumugi, I feel like that would actually be something that could get a lot of mileage. There would be at least, like 2 volumes worth, like with 0, because like with Junko and Oshima, there's just this possibly deep well of a character that hasn't been tapped yet, and it would be fascinating to dive deeper into. With Tsumugi, I think there's just something so interesting about her, because we see her the whole game and we get to grow closer to her, and unlike with the other Danganronpa games, that wasn't really the case. We hadn't really gotten to see, the mastermind being revealed to actually be one of the students present. Danganronpa 1, Junko was killed, but that was then revealed to be Makuro, and then the real Junko came out, but, she wasn't part of the group, so it wasn't as much of a heartbreaker, much of a tragedy to know that, oh my god, someone actually was the mastermind in all this, and there wasn't a, third party. Instead, the opposite happened. And then with 2, there was Chiaki being fictional and not real, at least until Danganronpa 3 came in and made things more complicated and stupid and weird. But, there still wasn't like, oh hey, one of the students here actually did cause all this and is actually in control of the whole thing. With Tsumugi, that happens, and the Junko and Hiroshima the 53rd reveal happens, and I actually did kind of like that, because you're so used to seeing Junko pop up as this main antagonist to the point where it had become so drawn out in her character, it had become kind of hated by 3, and not even in the entertaining kind of hate, that just to see her come up with the 53rd as part of her title, that was just brilliant to me. And then, Tsumugi comes back as herself and starts changing costumes and becoming past Danganronpa characters, imitating their voices and mannerisms. It was like a whole new kind of antagonist / mastermind that the series hadn't shown before. And I liked that, because it was such a breath of fresh air to see someone who is so... she's into it, but also she isn't enjoying when things go wrong. Unlike Junko, who wasn't happy when things went wrong for her, but also she was getting a kick out of it because she was still getting her despair. Unlike as with Tsumugi, everything she had made and planned for is now crashing down around her, and no matter how hard she tries to get back control of it, using Kibo, using the audience, trying to encourage them to go with hope and saying that this will be, if we go with hope, it'll win everything in the end. Suichi and the others just won't play anymore. They will not do anything. And with that, her whole rule and all of her ideas are coming crashing down. And I think that's what fascinates me about her, is that this was all hers. This was all her idea. This was her gallows, this was her ghetto, this was her town with the meadow. And now it's not hers anymore. And if we go off the idea that this was, part of a series, her idea and the character she wrote and everything, she gave these memories to and everything, now it's all crashing down. Danganronpa, the series she loves so much, has been canceled. and it's all her fault. And that has just got to suck for her. That's just gonna be heartbreaking, and that's why, like, you know, the appearance of the bags under her eyes and her face in her punishment is just so sad and heartbreaking to me, and it just tells me it makes me want to ask, who are you? What have you been through? What have you gone through in your life? And I would like to see more, but also I don't want to see more, because with Danganronpa, the more we see of a character, the more chance there is to ruin it. Again, going back to 3, we saw what Junko was like in the plane of the Hope's Peak stuff. And it was just, I feel like it made her character unlikable, because we saw so much of her, and the way they wrote her character, to me at least, wasn't the Junko that I had seen in other games. She was just acting like nothing fazed her. And that wasn't the character that I had seen in Danganronpa 1 and 2. And I didn't like it. And I worry that if there is, you know, a new piece of Danganronpa media that's a prequel and she plays a part in it and she's like the main focus, I'm worried that it might stretch her character thin by making her too much of one trope or another, or, you know, it might not give me what I want to see. And that would, like, you know, that would be a bummer for me. But, I don't know. Tsumugi is, I think I made this because I saw, Fiddler's videos on Nagito Komaeda and Kokichi Oma. And, you know, they talked about those characters so much. And I kind of realized that characters like, you know, Tsumugi don't get that kind of discussion. They don't get that kind of deep analysis or, you know, that kind of reaction. I think mostly because, you know, V3, her as a mastermind was so tied to V3's ending that discussion about the ending and its meanings and whether or not it was good or not, that took hold, and she got pushed to the sidelines. And kind of, I guess that's kind of fitting, because she said no one really notices her because of how normal she is. But, you know, I wanted to bring up this discussion about her and how she is potentially just this powerful mastermind who had control of everything all along. And if we disregard the theory about her being brainwashed into that role and not having any actual say, it's impressive to see how much she made and how much she thought out just for the sake of entertainment, doing this killing game and enjoying it, and only getting this pleasure because everything is backfiring on her in the end. That's fascinating to me. She is just like, it's the same kind of fascination I got when I saw Junko Enoshima in Danganronpa 1 and 2, where it's like, there is so much more to this character that we don't know about, and I want to know, because it's like, it feels like there's this rabbit hole that we're not going to see. I think that's about all I want to say about Tsumugi, at least for now. I might revisit this topic later once I have more of an idea on what I'm doing with this channel and how I make my videos. I want to say big thanks to Flare Guy, who made this amazing thumbnail and image for the video. I have no idea how to make thumbnails that aren't bland, and he made this for me, and I cannot say thank you enough. Check out his channel. He does mashups, and he is on Fiddler's channel sometimes, and he is very entertaining. I love just everything he does. And if there's anything I missed or anything about Tsumugi that you find interesting or that you would have wanted to see me address, or, you know, anything in general, or just any corrections or tips on something that I could improve, or, you know, something that you didn't quite hear correctly, let me know. I love interacting with people online, and I love any kind of critiques and comments and anything. And it would help my channel improve greatly. So, yeah, I think that's about it. This is TimeGal25. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe if you like this stuff. All that stuff, basic YouTuber stuff. And I'll see you next time, and hopefully I'll have even more idea on what I want to do.